actually gonna feel it, you know.
I feel ya. Oh, I just hit go live.
Even on the West Coast.
Gentlemen, hello once again, and welcome back to another Southwest NASCAR Series live stream. Today's race is coming at you from the Bowman Gray Stadium. But before we get started, let's take a quick look at the points standings, updated to include points earned by both paint schemes, because NR2003 can be dumb sometimes. But as mentioned in the description of this stream and this video, if you're watching it as a video, once the stream has ended, the top 28 make the race. Well, the top 24 are gonna make the race automatically, and then the bottom 6 have to race their way in. And those bottoms, out of those bottom 6, 4 will make it in, because we can only start 28 cars from the 1 mile speedway. So a quick trip through the points. Max Weissner in the number 1 is your points leader. Payson Avery is just below it, and he is, I believe, 11 points back. The number 5, and then Ryan Boyer is 3 points back from Payson Avery. Sharon Kyle is 12 points back of Ryan Boyer. Coaster Enthusiast is tied with Sharon Kyle for 4th. And then Adrian Mobley in the 18 is just behind Coaster with 20 or 34 points behind Coaster. Emily Winter 6 points back from Adrian Mobley. Greninja Talonflame also 6 backs off of Winterwolf. 5 points back from Gren is Winterwolf. Gren is 6 points back from Emily Winters. Winterwolf in the 88 is 5 points back from Greninja Talonflame. Sam Blaney in the 22 cars 8 points back of Winterwolf. Then Cole McElmoyle, the Canadian, is 5 points back from Sam Blaney. Then Ben Pierce is 8 points back from Cole McElmoyle, riding in the 11 car. Garrett Shima is tied with Ben Pierce, actually, for 12. Then Creeper of Hope in the 44 is 7 points back from Garrett Shima. Chris Ganaban is 3 points back from Creeper of Hope. That's tight right there. And then Matt Wynn and Robot Spider tied for 16th in the 13 and 25 respectively. Then Benjamin Navarro, the Argentinian, position 18 in the number 10 car with 717 points. That is 6 points back of Robot Spider. And then Dean P10 in that number 8 car is 2 points back from Ben Navarro in the 10. George Uriarte in the 24 is 3 points back from DNP, and everything gets a little bit tighter back here. Muse Better in the number 4 is 2 points back from George Uriarte. 7 points back from 17 points back from Mew is Matt Nile in the 26. Adrian D, or Ad, rather, in the 39 car is 15 points off of Matt Nile. And then Carlos Tavares in the 7 is 22 points. No,
38 points back of that.
38 points back of Adrian. Brandon Del Pino is 9 points off of Carlos Tavares. Matt Banswicki is 9 points off of Brandon Del Pino. And then 2 points off of Banswicki's Flashy McClashy, that win a couple of weeks ago at Loudon. Definitely working him a little bit of favors, but still going to have to race his way into the Bowman Gray race if he wants to have a shot. Parker is 4 points back of Flashy McClashy, and then Brian Anders is 3 points back from Parker, and James Youngerman is in dead last, despite having led 7 laps in 2 different races. But the biggest problem for him is he has wrecked out of 4 races this season, the most out of any driver, and has yet to get a top 10 or even a top 5. So we shall see how things go for tonight's race. But first things first, we've got to go into the cars here, and I'm actually going to create a new roster of SS Bowman Gray. Okay, so I'm just real quick gonna check again what cars I have to run. So as mentioned before, positions 25 through 30 all have to race their way into this race. That means that the 42, who is somewhere here, 42 Kyle Larson, gotta find Brandon Del Pino. There we go. So Brandon Del Pino is gonna have to race his way in. Then Matt Banswicki in the 2, who's also here somewhere. I don't know why I didn't try to do this beforehand.
Because you're you.
Yeah, I'm me.
Kind of lazy.
I don't think ahead apparently.
Nope. So how many laps we doing?
We're doing 25 for the sprint race and then 200 for the main event.
Right. Sounds good to me.
There's Matt Banswicki in that number 2 Monster Energy assault car. And then I believe I saw Flashy up here somewhere. There's Flashy. He's going to have to race his way in. Parker in the 12. Going to have to make his way in. And Parker has not had the greatest of races in recent times, so he's going to have to manage to get a top. I mean, there's only 2 cars that are being eliminated by this race, but still, you got to race in. Not there. I have so many cars. There he is. Parker. And then Brian Anders, the number 3. There we go. And last but not least is the 99. Now that should be pretty easy car to find. There he is. So 7 total cars gonna be active, but only 6 because 6 really because 77 is 2 paint schemes. So let's see how we do here from Bowman Gray. 7 6 cars starting this race. This sprint race. I'm gonna have to back out because I'm smart and forgot to change the lap count from testing. This will be... Actually, we can't do 25 laps. So we'll just do 30, I guess. More racing then.
More racing, the better.
I know, right? So let's get a look at a 7-car practice session. Gonna get to the stream real quick. As the 99 of James Youngman gonna be the first car to pull off of pit road and get out onto the track for practice here from Bowman Gray. I think we're good to go. We've only got 1 car in practice. It will really be all that interesting. But here we go for the start.
Drivers, to your cars. Drivers, to your cars.
So it looks like for this little short stint, the 99 of Youngman gets the pole. Brian Anders P2, Flashy P3, Mac Vanswicki is 4th, Brandon Delpino 5th, and Parker starts 6th. And we shall see which of these 6 cars make it into the final show. The ring flag is in the air. We're underway for the qualifier to get into the final show from Bowman Gray. The top 4 make it, and so right now, that bubble spot, the transfer position, is for 4th, and in that spot is Brandon Delpino. He'll take it for the moment, but trying to get into this race on the outside is Matt Vanswicki, but he's got the 12 of Parker all up his inside. It'll be interesting to see if we get any cautions here, as it seems these top 4, the 99, the 77, 3, and 42 have kind of pulled away a little bit, and they're continuing to battle side by side for last. Matt Vanswicki takes over that spot, and so he's going to set his sights on getting 4th back from the 42 to get into this race. Now this track is a 1/4 mile speedway, and what's actually interesting is this course takes place at the college, one of the college stadiums here. The football field actually is typically what's in the infield section of this racetrack. But obviously we've got heavy stock cars running around it at this point in time. The 42 leading the 2 of Vanswicki for the transfer spot, and it's kind of turned into a bit of single file racing. We'll see if some of these backmarkers can get up to each other and make any move.
Vanswicki looks really tight there off of 2 there. He really kind of shoved up the racetrack and couldn't quite get the exit, just like Parker is there. It looks like these cars are a little bit tight. Maybe these back markers didn't quite get the correct setup that some of the leaders did, and that could be the difference in this one.
Well, right now, the cars that make the show are the 99, the 77, the 342, and 2, yeah, 99, 77, 3, and 42. And, once they make the session, they will actually undergo another qualifying session that will determine where they place in this for the start of this race. And so if they win this race, it doesn't necessarily equate to starting in 25th. But it'll be interesting to see if we do have any changes. Right now, the only position that has swapped hands is 4th. That 42 started just outside of the 42 started just outside the spot that he needed to be. He started in 5th, and he's swapped spots with the 2 of Vanswicki, and it just seems that since that position change occurred, Vanswicki hasn't been able to get back up to the 42, and as you mentioned it earlier, Bill, I almost wonder if his car not handling so great has anything to do with that.
Yeah, you never know. Maybe the track temp went up, and it just wasn't quite, the way the setup was meant to be. He just doesn't look like he can really get off a 2 that well. And in the last couple laps, Delpino's been over driving the corner. Maybe he's starting to get a little bit tight. So that transfer position, it's going to be exciting on the bubble. The 99, he's just running away with this one. Unless there's a caution or he catches to the lapper or catches the 12 or the 2 and the 77 can be up to him, I think this race is all but over for him. I think he's going to win this one and transfer into the Bowman Gray 200. The 99's looking good. I think he'll do well in the race later on tonight.
As Youngerman in that 99 car crosses the start-finish line, that marks the 10 to go mark here at Bowman Gray Stadium, and it seems that the top 4 cars have all but checked out from Vanswicki and Parker. It's about a full second gap, 1.1 second gap approximately, between the race leader and, or between 42 and the 2. As they cross that time, the 2 picked up a 10. So, almost wonder if the 42 hasn't used up his stuff, and we might see that transfer bubble swap hands, maybe one more time in this race.
Well, maybe, but I don't think a 10th per lap is gonna, help that 2 transfer. Yeah, it's gonna help maybe catch him, but catching the car in front of you and passing the car in front of you is 2 different things. Along with, he only has 6-7 laps to do so. So, I don't know. I think the 42, unless he makes a huge mistake, will be fine. The 2 is catching him about 500ths per lap, but maybe a 10th. But I just don't think it's quite going to be enough. I think the 42 will be just fine.
And yeah, because as you probably have noticed, these laps here tick down very quickly. We've only witnessed about 12 minutes. Well, the official session time is 12 minutes. Now that's really about more so, 5-6 minutes of racing, and we've almost driven through a total of 30 laps. And as I say that, the 99 of James Youngerman takes the white flag to bring us to the home stretch. And just now talking about that bubble spot, it's already back to pretty much where it was, a full second gap between the 2 and the 42. So, as they cross the line, James Youngerman wins the sprint race. Flashy comes in second, the 3 comes in third, the 42 fourth, and then the cars that don't make the show are Matt Vanswicki and Parker. So unfortunately, this will be their first missed race of the season, and probably their last, seeing as we will likely be able to start 30 cars everywhere else.
Well, maybe the All-Star race.
Season.
Maybe the All-Star race. We might cut the field for the All-Star race.
Well,
To make it exciting.
Yeah, cut the field for the All-Star race, but the All-Star race isn't an official points race.
True. Yeah, it'll be the only points race that we cut. So that's unfortunate for the 2 and 12 though. They really needed points to get back into the shake of things. They're about 200, almost 300 points off our points leader, Max Weisner. So unfortunate that they won't be in this one, and they're going to get 0 points out of this race.
Quite unfortunate, but it's something that has to happen, and so we will say goodbye to them this weekend. And actually, because I'm stupid, I have to actually hop out for a quick moment and actually set the race. I have to set the track correctly for this next race. I'm smart, aren't I?
Yeah, really smart. That's unfortunate. Just block the screen. Block the screen, and then you can do it. And then
welcome back. Right. And gonna pop open once again. And so we go to Bowman Gray Stadium for the Bowman 200, or the Bowman Gray 200. There should only be 28 cars that start this thing. So let's get to happy hour. After qualifying, yes, indeed, 28 cars are going to start this race. And there's your running order. And actually, that's going to make it, because we lose 2 cars for this race, we will actually see all of the cars on one screen, which is quite cool. And that'll be really helpful for talking about the finishing order. Let's hop forward to the race. And let's go through the
Drivers,
starting order.
to your cars.
On the pole for today's events is the number 39 of Ad. P2 belongs to Emily Winters in the 15. Pulling off third is the 18 of Adrian Mobley. P4 is Sharon Kyle in the DuPont P5 goes to the number 11 Bass Pro Shops Toyota Camry of Ben Pierce. P6 gonna be the 99 of James Youngman, who finished.
Right?
What?
So I was right. The speed from the sprint races does carry over, or not necessarily, but his speed that he showed in the sprint race helped them in qualifying.
The 99 gonna roll off P6, first of the cars that had a race in, and followed just behind by Flashy McClashy in the Boring Company Dodge Challenger Hellcat. Then the 14 Haas Automation Ford Mustang of Ryan Boyer rolls off 8th. 9th belongs to Peaks and Avery in the number 5 Ford Mustang. And then the 10 Napa Auto Parts Toyota Camry of Light Yagami rolls off 10th. And then 11th is going to be the number 54 Allegiant Dodge Challenger Hellcat of Coaster Enthusiast. And then running a Canadian patriotic scheme today is the Canadian Cole McElmoyle rolling off 12th. 13th is Daytona 500 winner, who is better, followed by Max Weisner in a very intimidating number 1 Good Wrench Chevy Camaro. Rolling off just behind him in position number 15 is the 44 of Creeper of Hope, running the Disney Toyota Camry. And then the Canadian Tire Motorsport Kart winner, the 78 of Greninja Talonflame. And Sam Blaney, who has had a fair share of adversity to combat. Let's see if he gets a bit of a turnaround here in the number 22 Duracell Toyota Camry. then the 13 of Matt Wynn in the Ford Performance Ford Mustang, and then the 27 of Garrett Shima rolling off in position number 19 in that number 27 Ford Mustang. 28th goes to Chris Ganavan in the number 9 Valvoline Ford Mustang. And then 21st goes to the 25 of Robot Spider, the Starcom Fiber Chevrolet Camaro. And then the 26 of Matt Nile rolling off 22nd, the Miller Lite Ford Mustang. George Uriarte in a William Byron Escapade Scheme, the Liberty University Chevy Camaro rolling off 23rd. 24th belongs to the Jet Fast Jet Blue, number 7 of Carlos Tavares. Then in position number 26, 25 is the 3 of Brian Anders, and then 26 belongs to the 42 of Brandon Pellegrino. 27th is Winterwolf in the number 88 Mountain Dew Chevy Camaro, and then running out your field in dead last is the 8 of DNP 10 in that somewhat patriotic number 8 Amtrak Toyota Camry.
Rigged.
So the field is set for today's race. Predictions.
Oh dear. Well, this is one of them racetracks where it's really hard to pass. We did a test race, and it just didn't seem like you could really pass here. Both lines really came in over the course of the race. Sometimes you can make a pass to the outside, but even if you got pushed up, you'd still be able to get that run off the corner. So I'm going to say it's someone up front. I'm going to say the guy who won the sprint race is going to win this one. The 99 car of James Youngman. He was just strong in that sprint race. He's starting up there in 6th. He's already got, a little bit of experience racing on this racetrack in that 30-year lap shootout. I think that 99 brings home today.
Well, the command of fire engines has been given, and going off of what we saw in some of those test races, it seems that lap traffic and wrecks do play a bit of a factor, but I think that definitely it's going to be important to have started inside of that top 10, which definitely Youngerman and Flashy are going to be happy about that. I think the winner of this race comes from inside the top 10, and the rest of these guys just become lappers for the rest of the field. Coming off of turn number 4, Hadley's into it. It's green flag, racing from Bowman Gray, the shortest track on the Southwest NASCAR Series circuit this season. Through turn number 1, still a lot of double file action as they cross the start finish. And the 39 has already started to pull away as they continue to battle side by side. The 11 and the 18 for second, and trying to get some spots back is the 77 of Flashy McFlashy. Started pretty good, and he's already made it past his fellow combatant from the sprint race, making it inside the top 5 already. That's Flashy McFlashy as he just passed it around the second place car, or the car that started second, 15 of Emily Winters.
The outside really isn't as working as well as we saw in the test races we had. The outside could, you can kind of keep up with the car on the inside. You lose the position after a couple laps, but every once in a while, you'd be able to fend off that car on the inside and actually complete the pass and get cleared. But looking at the 15, she's fallen all the way down to about 8th now. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th. Just clearing the 5 car from when I look at it on the stream. She's just fallen, and she couldn't get to the bottom. That outside is just really not working early on in this race. Same with the 99.
Battling side by side, the 77 was with the 19. He's going to actually pick up the 4th position from Sharon Kyle, and that's definitely going to help his cause, making his way up through the top 4. And still side by side here, the 54 and the 4. And it looks like Daytona 500 winner Muse better going to get the upper hand in that battle. And further back behind them, they're 3 wide. It's the 3, the 61, and the 7, and they're still 3 wide. I don't know how they're still going green, but they somehow sorted out. And now the 8 trying to make some aggressive moves from the back. He's made it all the way up from last place, this time by the start finish. He's gonna actually be scored as 21st.
The 8 and the 88 have been making huge gains. The 88's already made it midfield, even getting up towards the front, top 15 maybe at this point. Same with the 8 car, top 20. They've gained 10 or so spots each, so maybe this isn't such a one-lane, hard-to-pass racetrack. They've been able to make it through. I'm not sure if they made any outside passes, but they've sure made it through the field somehow.
And now taking a look at this 39 car trying to get around the 1 lap traffic. It's Ad. He's your race leader at the moment, and he's gonna already have reached lap traffic. We'll see if that 1 car is able to hold him up and see if Ben Pierce can actually get something out of it. And in the meantime, it's just claustrophobia for everybody else around this racetrack. A lot of double file action, single file action, and just all around craziness here. And someone that we've talked about before, meeting a good race, it's the 22 Sam Blaney working his way around the 10, but Light Yagami gonna dive back to the inside and take the spot back. And he's actually gonna pull over a textbook crossover move. That's definitely gonna help him in this race.
Help the scoreboard to the leaders.
Yes, sir. In the meantime, the 39 has worked his way around the 26 and the 1. And now he's trying to get past Ryan Boyer. And right there is Cole McElmoyle in that 61 car. But still plenty of double file action on the lead lap. 22 side by side with the 10. Getting up the inside, and Light is actually going to lose the spot back to the 22 of Sam Blaney. So a little bit of shuffling here from Bowman Gray. Taking another look, the 8 gonna also make that same move that the 22 did, and D&D is actually gonna get around that 10. He's up into the 18th spot, and that is good for him. He started last. He's now 18th, meaning that he's moved up a total of 12 spots, which is pretty good here, considering where he started. And that 88 riding all over the back bumper of the 22, he wants to get something done. And we look further back as this 42 takes a glance. And now the 10 just ahead, gonna try and take 18th back. Let's see if he does it. What's kind of ironic is that this battle for 18th just so happens that if you added the numbers of those 2 cars, you would get the number 18. In the meantime, lap traffic continuing to play a factor. The race leader is Ad. He's gotten around the 14 and the 78 since last we talked, but he's having a little bit of trouble catching up to the 61, who's side by side right now with Brandon Delpino, the last car who actually made it into the final show. So it seems that for the most part, this field actually, or at least the cars who ran the sprint race, kind of running in the same order that they finished.
Yeah, well, that 61 has a strong car. You can tell. Just he qualified on the or in a position that put him on the outside lane, and like we mentioned, that outside lane you could not do anything in it early on. So he's found the bottom lane. He's actually been able to make some passes. That 61 as of right now, he's not really much of a factor. But if we get a caution or two and he's on the inside, he might get right up on there.
And the 27 was just battling with Daytona 500 winner Muse Better, and he's making huge gains, launching himself that last time by the stripe from 11th to 8th, and he's making a hard chart to the front. I gotta think that either that car is handling well in lap traffic, or he's just driving the wheels off that thing, because look at this charge that he's made, trying to get up to the front, compared to how the rest of the field is doing mired up in lap traffic.
Well, if you've watched Garrett throughout the year, he's had very good finishes for the most part. When he doesn't finish up front, it's usually because he's gotten some sort of damage or has been involved in a wreck. If you look at his stats, if he keeps the car clean, he's usually up front. For example, that CTMP race, he was up front the whole time. He was always a factor. I think he was the leader at one point in that race. So
He was the only car, I believe, that took the lead away from the 78, like in the second half of the race.
Yeah, so the stats showed Shima's been very good all year. He's just got to have a little bit of luck on his side, and when he does, he can perform. And he's charging to the front. Maybe he's driving the wheels off that thing, but maybe it's just because the car is handling wonderfully, and he can do that,
And still no change from the way things started for the race lead. The 11 of Ben Pierce, P2. The 19 has actually gotten back around the 77 for third. But the fourth place car is actually now the 44 of Baker Hope. And I think he started pretty high up in this thing. As did the 18 of Adrian Mobley, and it looks like Mobley has kind of fallen out of those top couple of spots. I think there might have been slight contact between the 44 and the 14. Nothing comes of it. We stay green.
One guy I've been noticing is what momentum can do for you. Ben Pierce up there sitting pretty in second spot. He hasn't had the greatest season so far. He's been verbally frustrated. He's been talking to me about it. He just hasn't had the finish he's been wanting. And then after avoiding the wreck with 2 to go last week at Pocono, he's done a great job continuing the momentum here into Bowman Gray. And now he's just, a second and a half back off our leader.
Well, if he continues to run in this position, this would be his second place this season. And I don't know that he's necessarily a driver who wants to finish second. I know for a fact he wants to win, and I know he's willing to do anything to get there. But it's just a matter of can he get to that position to make something big happen and get his first win of the season. And just as I say that, we're side by side for the race lead, but the 39 pulled him on the straightaway. Pierce to the inside.
Yeah, that 61 picked that 39, got him stuck on the outside. That helped the 11 gain a bunch of time and got him to the inside of Ad.
And that time by the start-finish line, your race leader is Ben Pierce, and we have our first lead change of the night, 46 laps in.
It seems like Ad just drove the tires off that thing. It looks like they've worn out. He drove away very early, got himself stuck in lap traffic, and was just driving too hard. Finally got up to some lap cars that maybe shouldn't be lapped cars, like that 61. 61 got on by him, and that helps the 11. Might have been conserving a little bit. Get up to the lead.
Well, the other thing to mention, you said that some lap cars that probably shouldn't be lap cars. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that, just simply because this is a 1/4 mile speedway, and so the race leaders might get up to, say, some cars in the, like later on in this race as this event continues, the race leaders might end up getting like top 15 cars a lap down. There's just not a lot of room on the racing surface, and so the leaders are going to be able to make it around the track quicker than some of these guys who may have been able to challenge for the win, but just didn't have the track position to do so. And so this could create an interesting situation because we could have cars that are on the lead lap that are trying to get around lap cars, but the lap cars are continuing to battle side by side with them for track position, not necessarily position in the leaderboard, but it could definitely create issues later in this race with two good cars battling each other that are not on the same lap.
Correct. And as we've been talking about Ad maybe running his tires off, he just got passed by the one who's a lapped car. He dropped to third from the 19. He's from what I'm seeing right now on stream, he's just passing the one back, but that 39 is fading.
On board with the number 19 car, trying to get to the back bumper of the 11 of Ben Pierce. And now what's kind of ironic is the fact that Ben Pierce is running a Martin Truex Jr. paint scheme. If, for those of you who don't watch the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series, Martin Truex Jr. is the driver of the 19 car, and guess what car is in second trying to get past him? The 19. Just something interesting to think about.
Ironic. It really is. It's ironic.
And just like that, the 44 of Creeper of Hope gets to the inside of the 19. Battle for second heating up. And let's see if we can get a twofer with the 39 trying to get around the 19.
Ad needs a caution in a big way right now. This is the third time we brought it up. He's fading, man. That 39's not holding very strong. He probably drove the right front tire off that thing, trying to get away from everyone behind him. And then he just caught those lappers, and they all reeled him back in because he couldn't get around him. So that 39's struggling big time.
Top three are all within approximately a second of each other. It's basically, at this point, it looks like the race win is between the 11, 44, and the 19. And continuing to have some great action. The 3 going side by side with the 8. That's just at the tail end of the lead lap. Currently 24 cars still residing on that lead lap. And the 3 of Brian Anders trying to make some moves prior to going a lap down. Because he knows the leader is coming. He wants to make the move and try to better his position, get up through the field. Several side-by-side battles here. The 99 is double file with the 10. Now the 88 gonna try and take advantage of that. But just all around action here. Double file, single file, 3 wide at some parts of this racetrack. We've seen some great racing tonight.
Indeed we have. You know, some guys that needed fairly strong runs are getting them. And the guys that you'd see up front, usually like a Max Weisner, who's our points leader right now, is caught a lap down. This track has been completely out of, I don't want to say out of control. It's just been, what's the word? Surprising, I guess you could say, of what we're looking at here. This race is kind of like Pocono last week in the sense of, you know, we've had one car dominating, was the 39, and then now we have the 11 dominating. So now everyone's got to try to get by that 11, and that 11 would kind of be what Adrian Mobley was. Took the lead later on in the race, and no one could get back by him.
Well, you mentioned the word surprising. Well, there is something to say about surprising, and that is that what's not surprising is how much you can save by switching to Geico. Rule not sponsored, by the way. 15 minutes can save you 50% or more on car insurance.
I quit.
some more single file action. The 25 double file with the 99. The 4 all over the back bumper of George Uriarte as the 14 and the 15 both numbers placed right next to each other. Also, two cars right next to each other on the racetrack right now. Not battling for track position, seeing as the I believe the 14 is currently position 28 and a lot down, but still some interesting battles to see around this racetrack. Now, one thing that we have yet to see is a caution flag, and boy howdy could a caution flag change things up.
Big time. We brought up Ad. He's been fading. If he gets 4 tires back on that thing and does what he did before, maybe he'd get up to the front, maybe he could stay there. You never know. Someone mid-pack could just have that one adjustment that they...
side by side for the race lead! Creeper of Hope up the inside, 2 Toyotas going at it out front. And just like that, a double number, gets out front here from Bowman Gray. And so it's possible now that Ben Pierce used up his tires, trying to pull away, get around lap traffic, and just run his race.
Absolutely. You know, the guys that are sitting 5th, 6th, 7th, they could be conserving their stuff, waiting for the leaders to, use their tires up, and then they're going to strike. You never know. The 27, we brought him up earlier. He could just be sitting back there. You know, maybe this was a planned thing. Conserve your tires, wait until about 20, 30 to go, and then strike, and then no one's going to be able to get back by you. That's if we don't have any cautions, though. Maybe they weren't planning for that, but who knows?
42 trying to get his lap back, and he's actually going to successfully get to the inside. And just as we were talking before, Ben Pierce has fallen to 3rd, but it seems that it's anybody's race inside this top 4 here for the time being. And now the 44 trying to get the 42 another lap down, but we just saw while you were talking, the 7 and the 7 and the 10 were side by side. The 7 had picked up that spot, and now he's going to try and go again. 10 had made it back, and now the 7 going to try side by side again. And also, as we were talking, that 61 picked up several spots, keeping himself in contention for this race, currently running 19th, but could definitely find himself up further in this field if he continues what he's been doing.
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier. That 61, he's really strong down on that bottom lane. He started up on that outside. He fell all the way back, just like a lot of cars did. But when he gets up and he's on that bottom lane, he's been able to get by cars. He was a lap down at one point, and now he's got 3 or 4 cars between himself and the leader. So he's built himself a little bit of a cushion on the lead lap, where he can stay ahead of that leader, but also focus on making moves.
13 and the 22 side by side. This is the battle for 16th, and I think that's going to be short-lived as the 13 gets passed. And just as we were talking about the 61, this 61 going to take a look to the inside. This right here is the battle with the 88 for position 18 that was inhabited by the 8 and 10 a couple of laps ago, but Builder going to get around, or Will McElmoyle, going to get right around that 88 car for 18th spot, as further up the 99 going at it with the 4, I believe. That is lead lap battle, and this right here is the battle for 13th. The 99 going to take that spot. The 54 falling back. He was battling with the 77 for what I believe was position 8. And so the Loudon winner having a good night. He's almost up to that 39, and he could, if he gets around the 39 car, that could be challenging for the win. The 27 has made his way to the top 10, and there's a difference between the race leader and second. That 19 is not going away.
Sharon Kyle also had a strong run at Dover. That was a couple weeks ago. Hasn't had the greatest run since then. But now sitting up here in second place. He's right behind that 44. He could strike at any moment. We might have a new race leader here, Bo.
And just as you say that, the 19 looked to the inside, doesn't quite get the spot, but as we get closer and closer to that halfway point, there's definitely some wheeling and dealing going on here between some of these guys. And oh, by the way, the other thing that we have yet to mention, the fact that because this racetrack is so small, a caution due to a wreck could take out a lot of contenders. It would be really interesting to see how a caution or a wreck that could potentially happen right in front of the race leaders would affect this race. We'll see. They continue to run clean and green here from Bowman Gray, but I suspect that it's going to be at least one wreck before this thing is all said and done.
Oh yeah, for sure. These guys have just been so aggressive. Some guys are getting tight. Guys are dive bombing down to the bottom and washing up. There's no way they'll make it to the end. Something's got to give here. Not everyone's making it to the end of this thing.
Cole McElmoyle gonna go to the inside of the 22, battle for 17th. Now, I don't know how the 22 is driving this thing. He spoke to me earlier today. There's a possibility of a right arm issue for him, and the right arm is very critical in turning a race car left. Surprising that it's the right arm that is critical, but still, it's kind of the driving force in turning a car left. So it's kind of making me wonder how he's doing inside of that race car, and maybe that's why he's starting to fall a little bit as this 61 continues his hard charge towards the front of this field.
Yeah, bringing up about that 22, that right arm, I couldn't imagine what he's going through right now. I don't know, broken or sprained or whatever he did to it, but that cannot be comfortable in that car. It makes sense why he's fallen to 20th place and continues to fall. I'm not so sure that he'll make it to the end of this thing.
And just speaking of cars not making it to the end of this thing, it was bound to happen. The 19 just took the race lead away from the 44. Let's see if Ripper Pope can battle back. But for the moment, the 19, who actually won one of the test races here, let's see if he can continue doing what he has done with some of the other sessions here, if he can continue that. We continue running green, just past the halfway point. Who's your pick to win this race?
Oh man, it's hard to say because the leader gets out there, they gap themselves from the cars behind them, and then within 10-15 laps they get caught. The leader they just can't conserve their tires enough and maybe get tight over the course of the run. It's really hard to say. That 27 though is the only one of that top 5 that has not held the lead so far today. Sharon Kyle's your current leader. Sharon Kyle passed the 44 for the lead, and the 44 got by the 11 for the lead. So I was for second, sorry. Yeah, but at the time it was the lead. Yeah, at the time it was the lead. So I don't want to say the 27's the favorite out of the top 5. I'm just saying he probably has the best looking tires of that top 5. I gotta go with that 27.
Well, taking a look back at some of the previous test races here, the 19 has been quite strong, and I'm curious to see if he can actually continue this race. The 11 has been looking pretty good, but he's kind of fallen off of those leaders. And that 19 has kind of gapped himself from the 44, and he's definitely lapping cars at a quicker rate. I definitely think this 19 car is going to make it to the, I think this 19 takes the checkered flag, wins this race, and the prize pool with it, still a lot of side-by-side action, throughout this field. The 15 gonna try to go side-by-side with the 27, the battle for 5th, speeding up. So we see Emily Winters making a comeback.
Well, you just never know. Some guys that needed a really good day, like that 25 Robot Spire, sitting there in 10th, started a little bit further back, has climbed his way up. Emily is started in 2nd. She had a very good qualifying session. She just couldn't get the start because she was on that outside lane, like a lot of guys here today. She's making a comeback. I don't want to say she's going to win this thing, but she could become a factor along with the car in front of her, that 27. So it's going to be exciting to see what she can do for the next 80-something laps.
And let's go on board with the 54 and his hard charge. He had a look on the 18, got past the 20, he just got past the 24, and it's kind of been running up towards the front all day long. He's currently in 6th. If he gets 3 more spots from here, he'd be inside of top 4, top 5. And oh, by the way, just thought I'd mention, Ad has just gotten around that 27 for 4th. He might be trying to make his way back towards the front. 11 getting around the 484 as well.
I'm kind of surprised to see Ad back up there. I was sure his tires were shot. Maybe now that we've got over the longer course of a run here, maybe his tires have kind of evened out with the others, not being up front, being able to kind of conserve a little bit. So it's surprising, but at the same time it's not. Obviously tires wear over the course of a run, so I don't know. We might see Ad get up there, but he's 4 seconds back, 4.5 seconds back of our leader. You never know.
The 24 and the 54 side by side. And further up, we did see some side-by-side action with the 15 and the 18. And Adrian Mobley going to get around the 15 for 5th. And just ahead, or for 6th rather, the 27 looking like he might be falling to the clutches of that 18 car. But this 39, I think, has had the has had the tires come back to him, and just as I said, the 27, they go side by side, and the 18 trying to make a hard charge. Could he be going for 3 in a row? Well, not in a row, but 3 this season, 2 in a row.
That would be crazy, man. He's about 6 seconds back, so it's going to be hard to catch the leaders, especially trying to maneuver around all these lap cars. So, I don't know, without a caution, I don't think the 18 would make it up that quickly.
Side by side for the lead.
Crazier things have happened, but, I mean, Creeper Hope's back in this thing, so you never know.
Creeper Hope just made the pass back for the race lead, and Ben Pierce not going away. He seemed to have caught some time up on the 19. Could he be trying to get back out front here from Bowman Gray? And surprisingly, this race has gone quite clean. We have yet to see a single caution. And I mean, we did talk about this before this race. We don't really know what's going to happen. Like, I was saying that anything could really happen. We could have 15 cautions course of 20 laps, or we could also end up having a completely green race. And it looks like, thankfully, we've seen the latter today, and a lot of great action around the racetrack. 54 continuing to try his charge towards the front. The 24 of Giorgio Iardi has gotten back around that 54, and Poster has fallen back to 9th. And the 25, who had made his way up further, falling back to 10th. And just as we were talking about cars coming back, 19 drops to the inside, textbook move. New leader is Sean Kyle for once again.
It just seems like that top 3 is so strong. Ad is about 2 seconds back of Pierce. I think it's a 3-horse race to the end here. There's still around, what, 60, 70 laps to go here. But I think it's pretty much, unless we get a caution, I think it's just going to be those 3 leaders. It's down to the 19, the 44, and the 11. I'm kind of excited to see what's going to happen here towards the end of this race.
The 11 had a look on the 44, but couldn't make the move happen, and he had just gotten around the 7. The 7 of Carlos Tavares gets back to the inside, and this is just going to be a couple laps on the train as Pierce trying to hold on to it, sliding up a little bit in turns 1 and 2. That seems to be the weak point for a lot of these drivers. So let's see if the 11 of Pierce, who now has 2 lap cars between him and 3rd. Let's see if he can find his way back into Grace and onto the bottom line. Get back up to those cars just ahead. We'll go on board with the 44, who's trying to get to this race lead. Sharon Kyle sliding up the racetrack. Does that open the door for Cooper Cole? However, a lap car going to get in between the 42 and the 44. Between the 42 and the 44, and between the 44 and the 19.
Now that's big, because there's still plenty of laps to go, and the 44 could always get back by that lap car, but it just seems like these lap cars are starting to get a second life here. Like, they're getting revived. They're being able to get up back by these leaders, and when they lap them, they're not just laying down, they're fighting for their lap. And it might not seem like that big of a deal, but it is. You know, that 44 is losing a lot of time on that 19. I don't want to say it's over yet, but I mean, it's going to be rough for Creeper trying to get by Del Pino and up to Sharon Kyle.
Still a little bit more than a quarter of this race to get through. Currently, the 19 is your race leader. The 42 is second. The 11 third. Then the 39 of Ad is fourth. And Emily Winters still running, in fifth. 21 cars still on the lead lap. We've seen a pretty good race here. Let's see if it gets any better. 44 trying to get back up to that 19 car.
It's going to be exciting to see that 44 try to maneuver his way. Or he's, from what I'm seeing here, he's on the inside of the 42. I'm sure from when I'm talking now on your screen, he's already by him. I'm still optimistic that we're going to get a caution. I don't think we're going to go the whole way under green. Just from a quarter-mile track with 28 cars, it just doesn't seem like there should be no caution. So I'm still doubting that we're going to go caution-free. But that 44, man, he's got to pull up his trousers here. He's got to get by this 42, not let that 11 get by him, and try to get up to Sharon Kyle.
Well, just as you were saying that the 11 got past the 44 for second, so you almost wonder, Ben Pierce still lurking back there, and that number 11 wants to channel his inner Martin Truex, get a short track win, and run up front here, get where he wants to go, and possibly make a run for the championship.
Well, the good thing for Pierce is if you look ahead of that 11, yeah, there's Chevy, but then there's a Toyota right in front of them in that 22. And then right in front of the 22, yeah, it's another Chevy. But then in front of that Chevy is another Toyota in the 10 car. So if the manufacturers are working together like they do in real life, you never know. That could reel that 19 back right into the hands of the 11. I'm sure Ben Pierce smells blood right now as he's catching that 19 car.
And this 42 car of Brandon Del Pino has been a thorn in the side of this lead lap battle, because we saw it affect the 44 trying to get to the 19. The 44 makes it past the 42. then the 42 gets past the 44, and it's just been all over the place. This 42 making things quite tough on these second place cars, and that is exactly what Sharon Kyle wants to see if he wants to win this thing. And oh, by the way, look who's back in third.
Ad's caught right back up. Yeah, seeing that 42 between himself and the 11 is definitely what he wants to see. But what he doesn't want to do is let that 42 catch up to him and then get by him so that there's no gap in between the 19 and the 11. The 19, yeah, he's got a little bit of a cushion there, but he's got to make sure that cushion doesn't disappear and not just lay down if that 42 does catch him.
19's been leading for several laps now, but just inside that final quarter of this race, you've seen a lot of positions change hands. Oh, and speaking of cautions, we have one on the racetrack.
I knew it wouldn't go caution free.
This changes everything. And cars colliding, trying to get slowed up. The 10 of Let Yagami, the perpetrator of this yellow flag. Everybody likely to be on pit road. Let's see how this changes the running order.
That's really unfortunate for that 19. If he could just continue the way he was going, not catching any lappers in front of him, but keeping distance between himself and the 42 and the remainder of the leaders, he probably could have won this race. Another unfortunate thing is that 99, dead last in points, was having a decent day. Could have got by that 2 in points and maybe even the 12, which he probably still will. But it's just unfortunate that he had to be caught up in there.
Seems a lot of 4-tire calls for these guys. Left sides and then right sides. The 19 gonna win the race off and picking up a spot on pit road. Actually, no. I thought that the 39 had gotten around the 11, but it seems that that is not the case. We'll see how things go with cars rejoining the racetrack. Seems that you actually can go a lap down under a caution flag.
Huh.
Maybe a lot of damage as these cars having a little bit of problems getting all lined up and getting everything sorted. A lot of contact with cars coming off of pit road. There's the pace car. Now there's going to be several lap cars in between the pace car and the race leaders. So, starting with lap cars, this could work dividends for the 19. And oh, by the way, is it going to be helpful for the 11, or is it going to be helpful for the 11? Because it looks like the 11 is pretty much clean. Pace car is in, and we're backing away. On board with the 11 of Ben Pierce. After that caution flag, 12 cars remain on the lead lap.
That was a very strange pit cycle. Cars that shouldn't have been a lap down got caught behind the pace car and they couldn't go anywhere. So it's gonna be cool seeing how some of these guys get back through the field if they do.
And speaking of getting through the field, the 11 almost took it 3 wide. You know he would. And he's right in behind that 39, but it seems that him and Ad going at it, Ad got around him. The 19 just casually sliding off into further and further into the distance. The great restart. The lap cars definitely taking away the preferred lane. We'll also see if the damage on these guys doesn't create a few more yellows. As the saying goes, caution.
Yeah, I figured we'd have more than just one yellow, but this part of the or this portion of the race. Usually, watching races like Bristol and Martinsville, they have 7, 8 cautions a lot of the time, and this is, you know, a quarter of that distance, and with just less cars than what there would be in real life, you figure there'd be a lot more wrecks. But the guys and girls have done a good job staying off of one another and being courteous, letting each other go, not hitting each other until that last restart where everyone seemed to like banging fenders. But no, they've done a good job today, and I wouldn't be surprised to see another yellow.
Well, you do hear a lot about beating and banging and door slamming and all that when you come to a short track. You haven't seen as much of that today, but I think towards the later portion of this race, as guys get more and more aggressive, there's definitely going to be some get-togethers between a couple of these guys. And by get-together, I don't mean the kind of friendly hang out time, do stuff together. I mean some confrontations of two drivers a little bit angry about the way that one another has treated each other. I expect there could be some heated conversations once the checkered flag falls in about 27 laps here.
Yeah, pardon my language here, but you cannot go a full short track race without someone getting pissed off. Like it's bound to happen. Someone's just gonna rub someone the wrong way, or someone's gonna cut down someone's tire by just hitting them in the door, say going into a corner or something. There's no way they're gonna go the whole race without someone getting mad at somebody. That's just not the nature of racing.
Well, you hear a lot about road rage. It always seems that racing makes road rage even worse. And you always hear about hockey having fights. Yeah, well, check again, because NASCAR also has had its fair share of fights over the course of its existence.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Rivalries
Some of the fights
grew
are brutal
over.
too.
Players get into it after a race. They got rubbed the wrong way. Two cars get together on track, and it just seems that when two drivers are angry, or even just one, it always comes down to physicality, because it seems that an easier way to vent frustration is to drop the gloves and go at it. '25 continuing to work lap traffic, has a 2-second lead over second place. I think this race is as good as finished.
It is.
Unless something were to happen to that 19 car.
Yeah, there's 20 to go. There's a lot of lapped cars in between. There's 4 or 5 lap cars in between himself and the 39. Ad's just gotta. He can't pick him off and catch that 19 all at the same time without the 19 getting stuck behind someone or stuck on the outside lane. It's just not possible. And there's no way the 39 won't get held up even more from this position. I think the 19 got it set unless there's a caution.
Just as you say that, the 39 almost got held up by the 8, and that 19 starting to run a couple of somewhat thin laps. He's kind of freed himself a little bit from lap traffic, pulling off from the 18, but not getting quite caught by the 4. But definitely keep an eye on these two race leaders. Currently 3 lap cars in between them. It's all up to Ad to get past these lap cars without surrendering the inside lane, or worse, without surrendering the second place position that past Shop's 11 car just a few positions back.
Well, the thing with Ad and Ben is Ben has 4 lap cars in between him and the 39. He's almost 2 seconds off Ad. It's going to be really hard for Ben to catch that 39 car. Now getting past a couple of cars on the stream, so there's a smaller gap between them. But you know, like I said earlier, crazy things have happened. But Ben getting past the 13 and the 8, then catching the 39 and passing him before the race ends is going to be a tall task to do. So You never know though. Just getting past the 13 now on the stream, so he could get past the 8, but he's got to get past the 8 and the 39 before the 39 gets past his 14. So
Well,
it's tougher.
the 11 actually stuck outside the 13 again, and so that's going to put 2 lap cars between the 39 and the 11. 3 lappers pretty spaced out between the 19 and the 39. I think this is Sharon Kyle's race to lose, and I think this would also be the first time that I picked a driver to win who's actually won.
First time either of us has picked a driver to win who's actually won. My pick is a lot down now.
I mean, heck, well, your pick is currently running 7th.
Yeah, my mid-race pick is running 7th. My start of race pick is a lap down. I chose the 99 to be.
Well, the 99 did have to race his way into the final showing, so it's not really that too much of a surprise that he's towards the back, but definitely not a welcome sight for him. This 19 continuing to slay these lap cars and continuing to run away with this race lead. He's opened it up to 3 seconds, and we're inside that final 10 laps to go. I think we're about to hit that point of no return right around 5 laps to go, and there we go. 5 to go, a caution now, I believe, to end this race.
Might I add, there's only 11 cars left. That 18, 2 cars ahead of that 19, is running 10. That means that 25 is running 11. We haven't seen this little cars left on the lead lap yet in SNSS, but I guess it's something that you could expect from a quarter mile because people are getting run up the track, and if the leader is all by himself, he's eventually going to catch you. Doesn't matter who you are, unless you're running in the top 5 or so. Even then, they're only about half a lap away from you, so it's very strange seeing this little car's left on the lead lap.
In just that sentence, we've completed like 2-3 laps. Sharon Kyle has kind of run away with things, but let's see. Well, he's got to get there. White flag, 1 to go. Sponsored by Credit One Bank. And in just a few moments, I'll be saying that he is the race winner because the only cars close to him are lap cars. And as they come to the stripe, Sharon Kyle wins at Bowman Gray. So just when things couldn't get any more interesting, the race ended. And this 19 coming home with his first win of the season, coming at a track about 4/4 of a mile and then some, shorter than the track where we are headed next week for the All-Star race, Charlotte Motor Speedway. We've really just about hit that halfway point. So after that race, there's your final running order. The only cars retiring from this thing, Carlos Tavares and Brian Anders in the 7 and 3 respectively. Race winner Sharon Kyle. Second place is Ad. Third, Ben Pierce. Fourth, Emily Winters. Fifth, Coaster Enthusiast. Sixth, Creeper of Hope. Seventh, Payson Avery. Eighth is Garrett Shima. Ninth is Adrian Mobley. And the final car inside the top 10, and the only car finishing, or the final car finishing on the lead lap is George Uriarte. Then it's Robot Spider, Muse Better, Matt Wynn, Greninja Talonflame, Chris Gannaban, Brendan Delpino, Flashy McFlashy, Cole McLemoyle, Winterwolf, Matt Nile, Max Weisner, and Sam Blaney all finishing 1 lap down. And then 23rd through 25th is James Youngman, DNP 10, and Ben Navarro, owned by Light Yagami, or at least his car is, all finishing 2 laps down. Ryan Boyer, the final car, finishing this thing 3 laps down. So, an interesting points day. Everything shakes up when you go to a track shorter than what you're used to. Different drivers excel at some of these shorter tracks. But once again, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll get a points update to you before the start of the next race. But until then, you've been watching Southwest NASCAR Series racing from Bowman Gray. The next points race on the schedule, looks to be the Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500 on Wednesday, followed by the All-Star race from Charlotte Motor Speedway, then the Coke 600, the longest race of the season, and that one will definitely be one to tune in for because we're going to be doing 50% of the real race, 200 laps from Charlotte Motor Speedway. But until then, thank you guys for
hold on. Let me just butt in real quick. Before we end it, I just want to make sure everyone has their All-Star race cars and their Coke 600 cars. If you don't yet, DM myself or DMP your favorite sports team. That's the theme as per SNS tradition. Your favorite sports team to run the All-Star race, and then DM us a patriotic team that you'd like to run for the Coke 600.
Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you on Wednesday for the Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500. But until then, thank you guys for watching. Take care. I'm Dean P alongside Build. We'll see you Wednesday. Thanks for watching.